Jason the Wee is not one person, at least not in the way you think. Sometimes he is a cringy TikToker. Sometimes he is an IRL streamer. Sometimes he is a musician. Every few months, he becomes an entirely different character. And every single time he changes, the crowd gets bigger. By the end of 2024, he was the #2 most subscribed streamer on Twitch in the entire world. He was at Wembley Stadium in front of 90,000 people alongside Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and IShowSpeed. He had a Netflix credit. He was in FaZe Clan, and he was 21 years old. But none of this started with a viral moment or a lucky break. It started with the smell of acetone and a promise a quiet kid from Fort Worth, Texas made to himself at age 15. For Jason Wynn, the American dream smelled like acetone. His parents were Vietnamese immigrants who built their lives around a small nail salon in Fort Worth, Texas. Jason spent his afternoons there as a kid, doing homework on the counter with the sound of nail drills in the background. He was quiet. He got straight A's. He won spelling bees. He never caused trouble. But he could not ignore what he saw every single day. His parents were older than everyone else's parents. They never took a day off. Every dollar they earned came from hunching over a manicure table for hours. And somewhere in those afternoons at the salon, Jason made himself a promise. Retire them. Get mom and dad out of that salon for good. The only problem was he was 15. No license. No job. No way to make real money. And then 2019 arrived, and a new kind of gold rush showed up on his phone. TikTok launched and changed everything. Jason watched creators like Charli D'Amelio go from filming bedroom dances with 0 followers to Hulu shows, Super Bowl commercials, and multi-million-dollar brand deals in a matter of months. And he thought, why not me? But here was the problem. TikTok algorithms feed on flair. They boost content that grabs attention and creates urgency. And Jason did not naturally have that kind of personality. He was a quiet kid who got straight A's. So he made a decision that would define the next several years of his career. He became someone else. He studied the history of polarizing, over-the-top internet characters. Fred from 2009. Neon. IShowSpeed. Characters who were loud, cringy, and almost painful to watch. And yet people could not stop sharing the clips. So Jason weaponized that formula and created some of the most deliberately uncomfortable content you have ever seen. 2 problems hit at the same time. First, his TikTok accounts kept getting banned without warning. One day, he would have hundreds of thousands of followers. The next day, they were gone completely. Second, even with the views, the money was not there yet. TikTok was still too new and brands were not writing big checks for sponsored posts. So after graduating high school, before college started, Jason made a call. If he wanted real money, the kind that could actually retire his parents, he had to move to Twitch. But Twitch is not TikTok. There is no algorithm that can shoot you into the stratosphere overnight. Twitch is slow, brutal, and unforgiving. It is probably the hardest platform to build an audience on. So Jason got strategic. He had 1 million TikTok followers, and he began the slow and steady process of converting them to Twitch, using a 2-step system that was genuinely clever. As 2022 turned into 2023, something unexpected happened. During an e-dating stream, Jason met someone. Her name was Eugene. The chemistry was immediate and genuine. And before long, it carried over into real life. They started dating. For Jason, it was his first real relationship. And his audience became just as invested in the two of them as they were in him individually. But here is the interesting part. Broadcasting that relationship did not actually help his growth. His viewership became stagnant for nearly a year. And yet this period mattered more than it seemed. Because in those moments with Eugene, the mask started slipping. He was finally comfortable enough in front of a camera to let people see something real. And viewers noticed. When the relationship eventually ended, it quietly changed how his audience related to him. They had seen something genuine, and they were not going to forget it. After the breakup, Jason took every successful element from his streams and turned the volume up to maximum. He brought his Discord e-dates into the real world, traveling from state to host in-person dates. Recurring personalities like Saw, Selena, and Alyssa became fan favorites, and the audience quickly dubbed this era the Bop arc. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Just 1 month after the breakup, his average viewership nearly doubled from 2,700 to 5,300 viewers. And the growth did not stop there. He was attending college full-time while streaming an average of 160 hours per month. The content machine was running at full speed. And then an opportunity arrived that was about to change everything. FaZe Clan started as a small group of gamers making YouTube trickshot videos. They bought a house, moved in together, and arguably created the first content house the internet had ever seen. By 2018, they had brand deals, Sports Illustrated covers, and a billion-dollar valuation. Then the empire cracked. Equity was diluted, corporate overreach set in, content went stale, fans left, and eventually FaZe went bankrupt. The founders bought the brand back, and in early 2024 they announced a full-scale revival with an almost entirely new roster. When Jason's name appeared on that list, the reaction was immediate skepticism. Nobody believed in the new group. They called it a hollow corporate move, the same kind of lazy decision-making that had already sunk FaZe once before. And then almost everyone was completely wrong. Within weeks of the new FaZe roster being announced, public opinion began to flip. Clips from the new group started flooding TikTok. Trips to Tokyo, a month-long subathon, a constant stream of content both individually and as a group. The momentum was undeniable, and Jason in particular was breaking into a completely new tier of mainstream success. In the closing hours of the month-long subathon, he hit 100,000 active Twitch subscribers. That number made him the #2 most subscribed streamer on Twitch in the entire world, passing streaming heavyweights who had been building their audiences for years. His average viewership climbed to over 15,000 viewers per stream by the end of the year, a 474% increase from January. He was closing in on 1 million Twitch followers, and he won the 2024 Breakout Streamer of the Year award. From 71 average viewers to the #2 spot on Twitch in just over 2 years. But Jason was also paying attention to something. Every major character that blows up on the internet eventually hits the same wall. The bit gets stale. The audience moves on. Fred's high-pitched voice was funny for years, and then suddenly it was not. Jason saw this coming and made a deliberate decision heading into 2025. He started taking off the mask. The exaggerated persona took a back seat. His natural self started showing up on stream more and more. He was still charismatic and entertaining. But he was no longer performing a character that he had invented for an algorithm. He was just being himself. And the audience that had been watching him for years was watching something new happen in real time. Someone they had thought they knew was finally letting them in. With the mask off, the world itself became the stage. In South Korea, he met New Jeans, one of the biggest K-pop groups on the planet. Then he went to England, and within days he was filming with Angry Ginge, Daiji, and George Clark. He appeared in a Sidemen 20 vs 1 video, which for any creator is a significant milestone in terms of reach and credibility. Then news broke that he had joined the cast of Inside, a Netflix reality series created by the Sidemen themselves. And then came the moment that would put him in front of one of the largest audiences of his entire career. The Sidemen charity match at Wembley Stadium. 90,000 seats sold out. 2.7 million people watching live. A roster that included Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, IShowSpeed, and Kai Cenat. And Jason was one of them. He was not the weird kid trying to make a name for himself anymore. He was in the club. But Wembley was not the finish line. Because long before any of this, there was a quiet kid in Fort Worth who made a promise. And Jason has been keeping it in motion the whole time. He bought his parents new cars. He surprised them with $10,000. And he is now on the path to retiring them from the salon entirely. He talked about it in an interview, and what he said was not the polished speech of someone performing gratitude for a camera. It was something much more real. He talked about the clock ticking, about his parents getting older, about the debt he felt he owed them for everything they sacrificed to be in America, and about the fear that he was running out of time to give it back. That fear is what drove all of it. Every reinvention, every late-night stream, every decision that looked from the outside like a calculated content play was actually just a kid trying to move fast enough to take care of the people who built everything for him. Here is what the Jason the Wee story actually is when you look at all of it together. It is the story of a kid who figured out very early that the version of himself the algorithm wanted was not the real version. So he played the character, learned the game, built the audience, and then when the moment was right, he started becoming himself instead. He was called Chino in middle school. He hid his Vietnamese heritage. He was self-conscious about who he was. And now he is the #1 most subscribed Asian creator on Twitch, and he uses that platform to put other Asian creators on. The things he once tried to hide are now the things he stands out for. He is 21 years old. The promise he made at 15 is being kept, and he is just getting started.